These men who attempted to hijack our party had already concluded plans to conduct congresses where forms that were hitherto sold for 50,000 naira would now be sold for 500,000 naira, all in a bid to disenfranchise the poor party faithful.
At a press briefing today, former presidential candidate Dumebi Kachikwu delivered a hard-hitting statement on the crisis within the African Democratic Congress, ADC, condemning what he described as a calculated attempt to hijack the party, addressing the recent development involving Independent National Electoral Commission and the controversy around the David Mark-led caretaker committee, as INEC has insisted that no faction would be recognized until all court cases are fully resolved.
Dear ADC family and friends, yesterday, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in response to recent court rulings, said it has ceased to recognize the David Mark-led caretaker committee. They went further to say they won't recognize any faction until all matters in the courts have been decided.
Kachikwu took aim at certain political heavyweights, accusing them of engaging in reckless power struggles that amount to political self-sabotage. He alleged that former chairman Ralph Nwosu handed the party over to individuals driven more by vendetta against the All Progressives Congress than by genuine reform.
Did hundreds of our so-called political giants just commit political suicide? How did they get sucked into this quicksand? Let me tell you how. Ralph Nwosu, whose tenure as chairman of the African Democratic Congress lapsed on the 21st of August 2022, sold the ADC to men who had destroyed their parties and were seeking for another party with which to prosecute their grudge match against President Tinubu and the APC.
He criticized a culture of political opportunism, describing some actors as serial party defectors with no clear ideology, only a desire for relevance and power.
This group of mostly ex-political office holders who have held sway over the affairs of Nigeria for the last 40 years or more had attempted to register the ADA and then jumped to the SDP before they gate-crashed the ADC in the middle of the night. How do you explain this? Jumping from political party to political party, no ideology, no belief system, standing for nothing and believing only in the notion that power is their birthright.
On the growing number of legal battles, Kachikwu noted that many will likely reach the Supreme Court, stressing that only strong legal arguments and due process, not manipulation, will determine their outcome.
What we are seeing today is just the beginning. There are several court cases that will end at the Supreme Court, and the only way they can win is if the Supreme Court can change Monday to Saturday and Saturday to Tuesday. But again, this is Nigeria, where anything and everything is possible.
He warned that ongoing turmoil has made credible political ambition within the ADC nearly impossible, effectively shutting out serious contenders.
All those of you who join these geriatrics because you seek to contest for positions in the 2027 general elections, I regret to inform you that the actions of these men have rendered any political aspiration through the ADC a non-starter.
Kachikwu also alleged that internal processes were deliberately manipulated, with nomination fees suddenly increased to excessive levels in a bid to sideline grassroots members and disenfranchise loyal party faithful.
These men who attempted to hijack our party had already concluded plans to conduct congresses where forms that were hitherto sold for 50,000 naira would now be sold for 500,000 naira, all in a bid to disenfranchise the poor party faithful who originally held those positions. Are they saying that ordinary Nigerians who they consider poor are not good enough to hold party positions in a party where these big men are? They have long told us that they seek political office to better the lot of the masses. Yet, they can't be in a party where the masses.
He concluded by describing the involvement of certain political actors as deceptive, arguing that their presence within the ADC is not to build, but to destabilize a reality he says Nigerians are beginning to recognize.
I have now accepted that these old men are truly masters of the political game. For them to come into the ADC knowing that there's no pathway here for them means that there's a conspiracy between these men and the APC to make a fool of us all. This is the only plausible explanation